So for step one, the differential gear, well, you can see there's quite a few gears that we need to get for this step. And then, of course, we've got our differential spur gear, which is where all the little gears are going to go into. And, of course, we've got to grease quite a few of these parts up. Now, here are all of the bits and pieces that we need. The bevel gears, star shaft, there's your differential spur gear housing, and then this is the part that we're going to have to screw down once that's done. Now, I have pulled out the drive cups, which I'll explain why in the video. They're not really part of this step, but I think it's worth you grabbing. Now, the other thing is, you'll notice this is the tube of grease that the kit came with. I will not be using it because I have an opened grease right here, so I'm not going to open the little one that the kit came with. So we're going to be using this Sarah grease. So I will set this all up and we'll put the differential together. So right off the bat, we're going to grab our differential spur gear housing right here, and you can see that they want you to grease one of the washers. So we'll grab one of the washers here and we'll grease both sides. So we're going to end up greasing this side here. And I'm just going to put that on for now. So I won't grease up the other side till this is in. So then we'll drop it down there. There we go. So the one side is greased. So now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. There we go. There, we've got enough grease on there. And then you can see that we're going to end up putting in one of the bigger bevels. So in fact, I'm going to put that right down there on top of it, just like that. So you can see it's coming through the other side. And we're going to grease up the gear from this angle. Now, because I have this bigger tube, which I've bought separately, you can find these online or at your local hobby stores if possible. I'm going to be a little bit more liberal with the grease. With the kit supplied grease, you may want to just go a little easy, make sure things are covered, but if you use too much of it, you may find that you run out completely. So now let's move on to our star. So you can see that they want you to grease the star itself, which we will. So I'm going to do that with one. I'm going to slide on one of our gears, slide on one of our smaller bevel gears on that side, turn it around, then I'll use the grease again. Put on that third bevel gear. And now that all of that has been greased, we're going to end up sliding this down into the main gear casing. Now, because we're going to slide that down, I'm just going to hold this a little bit, make sure I put a little bit of grease on there and maybe a little bit on there as well. That one came off, but that's okay. And we're going to take this, and those ends of the star shaft are going to fit down there into the holes, just like that. So you can see that the ends are fitting into those holes there. And once we've done that, you can see in terms of the picture, pretty much looks identical to what we see here. We're now going to work on the other side. So we need to grease up the bottom of this. There we go. And before I do that, you can see how it was showing you greasing up the bevel gears? I like to put it in there first so that you can actually do this. So you can see how all the gears are moving around and you're greasing it on the go. And that way it's easier to hold because you don't actually have to hold anything because you can watch the gears moving around, but you're getting enough on. So I like doing it that way. So you can see we're pretty much getting a nice even coat of grease on all those little bevel gears. And then with this, we're just going to slide it right on top of there. So once we've got the other side of the bigger bevel gear in place, we need to grease up the other washer. So same thing again, we're going to grease up one side. And in fact, the other way you could do it, if you wanted to, is just grease up the base of this, but we've done it that way. There is the washer in place. And then I'm going to take this and we're just going to throw on some grease along the top, just like we did on the other side. So once that's done, we know that this has to fit into there. So you can see that the 3 holes are for the screws. So these parts are designed to fit over top of where the star gear spindles were positioned, so that it looks like that. And that way we've got the spots for screwing in the side half there. So if we grab this, I'm going to grab one of my smaller screwdriver, because these guys are very small tapping screws. And what I like to do is make sure that you go around, not tighten one down and then tighten the others, or put in the others, because what ends up happening is you could find that something binds. So it's easier and better to go around making sure that the screws are actually going into the holes without any problem, which they are. So now I'm kind of going to go back and forth and make sure that it's all going in nice. The other thing is, because these are small tapping screws, I'm also making sure that when I get to the end, I don't over tighten, because you don't want to strip anything out. Okay, I'm at the end. I'm at the end. This one can go in. There we go. I'm at the end. So you can see that this is all the way down, and we have completed step 1. We have built the differential. Now, what comes into play here are these drive cups. And of course, I've taken them from the further on in bag A. But the reason I've done that is, even though we've tightened this all down, in the next step, we're going to be sealing this all up. And if you haven't built this right, or something was binding, you're not going to know till a later stage. And you don't want to find that you've built it wrong or something's catching. So if you grab those drive joints, stick them in, we can test this out. So obviously, if I'm holding it this way and I turn, both this one and this one are going forward and reverse, which they should. There's nothing about this differential that's going to stop that from happening. But where we're doing the test is, if I hold this left side and turn right, it still moves, which is exactly what you want. If I hold the right side and turn this one, doesn't matter what direction I turn it, everything's fine. And this is really running nice and smooth. So you know that the differential has been built properly. So I just suggest you grab the drive cups and make sure you do this test before you move to step 2. But yeah, this feels really, really nice. So I can take those cups out. We won't need them till a later step. Step 1 is now complete. Our differential is done. So we're going to move on to step 2 and attach the differential gear.